Hey guys, welcome to Mad Scientist BBQ. I'm Jeremy Yoder. Today I'm here with James from Porter Road. His favorite steak is the Denver steak, and he's going to show me his 3 favorite ways to cook it.
3 favorite ways to cook a Denver steak: simply sear it, braise it, smoke it. Stick around, find out.
So James, you told me that the Denver steak is your favorite steak, but why is it your favorite steak? Because when I go to the grocery store, I see ribeyes, I see fillets, I see sirloins. I don't ever see this. What makes it so special?
This cut is incredible because of where it's located on the animal and the way we seam out the muscle by muscle to create this. So it comes from the chuck flap up in the shoulder. It's a hard working muscle, but this particular cut doesn't do that much work.
Okay.
So it's going to have that great intense flavor and a little bit of that connective tissue.
So it's kind of a hybrid between something you cook slow, something you can cook fast, but you can really do both.
Absolutely. So today we're going to do 2 low and slow methods.
Okay.
We're going to do a braising method, which is going to be a moist heat cooking method.
Yep.
We're going to do it to 225, low, slow, break down that connective tissue that's in there. Same thing with the smoker here. So we're going to smoke it at 225. We'll wrap it at about 160 degrees to make sure we protect any moisture that would go away after that. And then the other one is a quick sear. So because of the versatility and because of the muscle fibers, it does have a little bit of chew to it. It's not going to be as tender as a tenderloin, but it's going to have 10 times as much flavor as a tenderloin.
It sounds great. Now, I have a question. When I go to the grocery store, where would this actually show up in the cuts that I might see?
So at the grocery store, unfortunately, the only time you would really see a Denver steak is at the bottom of your chuck roast. So this particular cut at the grocery store, you would get 1 chuck roast.
Okay.
At Porter Road, because of our seam butchery, we get 6 different cuts out of it.
The first method we want to highlight is the braise. So we got some vegetables here. We obviously have our Denver steak.
We're going to season it with simply just salt and pepper, and then we're going to sear the heck out of it.
Okay.
And we're going to get to the point to where we almost go to black with that. We want to develop all of that great Maillard reaction, that browning flavor, because it's going to add so much depth to the final product.
Right.
So after we do that, we're going to take our onions, cut those, caramelize the sugars that are naturally found in the onions. Again, almost to that black point, even a little farther with that.
Okay.
That bitterness that we develop is going to counteract the sweetness we naturally find in meat and the rest of our vegetables. After that, we're going to add the remainder of our vegetables, brown those off a little bit, some tomato paste. We're going to caramelize those sugars. Once we do that, we'll deglaze a little bit with our red wine. We're going to make sure we scrape up all those good bits on the bottom of the pan with the red wine. That's going to add some acid to it. Then we're going to finish it off with some herbs and some beef broth. We're going to liberally season with salt and pepper. We're going to lose some of it, and also we're just going to season our Denver steak. So that's going to season the sauce and everything beyond it.
Got it. Does the bone broth come pre-salted?
No, so there is sodium in the bone broth, but most of that sodium comes from celery.
Gotcha.
There's no added salt. You always want to make sure you start with a delicious stock, and there is a big difference of stocks.
It's a very versatile ingredient that you should definitely be using in your cooking. Another thing is, it's got a lot of collagen. In barbecue, we're always thinking about hydrolyzing collagen in the cuts of meat that we're cooking, but here we're adding collagen to give it some of that richness and some of that succulent nature that it wouldn't necessarily have on its own.
So now what we do is just low and slow. Just like our barbecue that we do, it's
I like it.
low and slow. So what we want to make sure is get this braise to about an internal temperature of 200 to 203 degrees. We don't want it to be too shreddy. We still want it to hold together, but we want it to be fork tender. With that, we don't want to dry it out. So we're going to cook it in this moisture. We're going to cook about 225 for about 4 hours, depending on how long it takes. You can go a little higher and it'll take less time, but you have a chance of drying it out.
Right, exactly. I completely agree, because when you're cooking those proteins, they begin to coagulate and coil up, they denature, so they change their shape. If you do it really quickly, it happens rapidly. So if you ever cooked a brisket too fast and it starts to curl up on you, it's because you're increasing the temperature too rapidly. But if you do it slowly by bringing up the temperature from something low to gradually higher and higher, or you can just leave it low, it's going to remain flat because those proteins haven't denatured the same way that they would by rapidly increasing the temperature. So nice, even, low and slow is going to get us the tenderness we want. It's going to keep it moist. And ultimately, the biggest thing is it's going to develop a great flavor.
We're going to go into the oven, 225. Nice, low and slow. After we've developed everything, let it sit and forget about it.
So we're going to leave it in there 4 hours. Don't worry about it. Don't touch it. Don't mess with it at all.
Nope, just let her sit.
Okay, easy enough. Okay, for our second method, smoking, we're going to use, I don't say this often, a grill that I've never used or seen in person before. This is not a briefcase. This is a Nomad grill. It actually folds in half. And James is going to show me how he uses it. You can actually use it as a grill or a smoker. And because we're smoking this, it's going to be used as a smoker today. We're going to use some hickory chips.
And we'll put it indirect heat on the other side, and then we'll close up our grill.
It's been about 2 hours on this Denver steak, and it's been cooking at about 225 degrees. So let's take a look at what we've got at this point. I feel like this is like The Price is Right. We have a nice dark color on the outside of this, so we're going to wrap it up with some beef tallow to add extra moisture to the outside because we want this to be extra juicy.
Wrap it up, babe.
No. Oh, wow, like a ninja.
You didn't know I went to ninja college, did you?
I did now. It's a different vintage.
That was my car.
Oh, it's nice and juicy. We'll check back soon.
Well, you just made that really family members, actually. They say party far.
People say wash clothes.
Wash clothes.
We just checked on this Denver steak. Right now it's in the mid 170s. We really want to push it to the end of this cook, so we added a little more charcoal, opened up the vents for more airflow and more of the coals to get lit. And we're expecting this to be done in probably about an hour or so.
Give me a listen. How we looking?
Looking great. Done.
Nice.
Let it rest.
Look at that. Look at what that little briefcase can do.
Not bad for a briefcase. All right, James, our smoked Denver is resting, as is our braised Denver. And so while they're cooling down, we want to sear this one. What's your favorite way to sear? You do it on a grill, you do it on cast iron, what?
Really, the cast iron is my personal favorite. It's real simple. It's real easy. We want to make sure we have it at about medium high heat.
Okay.
So that way we can get a nice char. We can cook it all the way through, but we're not going to burn the outside as we do.
Got it. Is there a target temperature you're looking for on the surface of that cast iron?
Generally, you're going to shoot for about 350 to 400 degrees.
Got it.
Anything beyond 400, you're going to start to burn. We use a nice neutral oil. I prefer grapeseed oil because you want something with a higher smoke point. Tallow, lard also works well.
Yep.
But even high smoke point oils can burn once
Yep.
you get up to that 500, 600 degree.
Gotcha. So one thing I learned in culinary school from the chef was you get the pan hot, you add the oil, get the oil hot, then you put the meat in. You do it the same way?
Absolutely.
All right. So let's see your process. And I'm excited to eat this thing too. Well, I'm excited to eat all of them.
Yeah, they're going to be delicious. This
Dude, look at
particular
this one,
tender
man.
Looks absolutely amazing.
If you wanted one in a book, this is the one you put in there, man. Marbling all over the place. That's a beautiful sound. Okay, James, the smell is incredible. The braise, you smell the smoke, you smell some of the sear. All of them make me want to eat them. So why don't you summarize very briefly, because I'm hungry, what we did to each one, and then we'll start diving in.
We'll start on my left over here. This was the seared one. So we seared hard on each side, getting it to about 132 degrees internal temperature.
Okay.
Letting it rest. That's right below that medium rare. This one's our smoked one that we wrapped. We added that tallow. This one we cooked to about 205 degrees. Make sure it's nice and shreddy. And then the braise, same thing. Braised down, we got that hard sear, developed all of those delicious flavors, and then we cooked it until it is fork tender, let that rest in its liquid. This one, normally I would take that liquid, strain it out, reduce it down, and then make this nice, delicious sauce.
Oh, that sounds great. Well, just by looking at them, the one that we seared seems to have maintained the most weight, the one that we smoked, the least weight, and the one that we braised, somewhere in between.
Yep. And when you refer to that weight, what we're referring to is the amount of moisture, the amount of water that is retained in there. And as we get into it, you're going to actually be able to visually see that. The seared one is going to still be nice and medium rare. That's that water content that we're talking about. Once we cook it beyond that 165, we're breaking down that connective tissue, but we run the risk of drying it out. That's why the braise is the perfect middle ground.
Okay. Well, let's dig in. All right, let's start with the seared, go to smoked, then the braised, and we'll compare them. I noticed that they look completely different.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, same cut, 3 completely different preparations. I like it. So I'm gonna just grab one of these. I hope you don't mind. Oh, this looks good. Smells great. It's the richness of flavor. All that flavor on the outside. That's great.
Nice and seasoned.
Mm-hmm.
Salty, not overly salty. Phenomenal flavor. Nice and juicy because of that medium rare cook.
I didn't think I was going to want to keep eating that. Now I want to see how it held up to such a long cook with this smoked Denver.
Look at that bark on there.
Oh, still juicy. All right.
Oh, man.
I got to say I'm impressed. I've tried smoking a tri-tip before, like a brisket, it wasn't nearly this juicy or flavorful.
This is ridiculous.
This is great.
I think it had to do somewhat with how you cooked it, but also the meat.
And the briefcase?
And the briefcase.
The briefcase was the key. Actually, I'm legitimately impressed with how that turned out, considering the circumstances. I mean, cooker I've never used before, wood chips I've never used before. It's actually really good.
That bark on there, that crust stayed.
You know, it's still juicy. It's glistening here in the light. That's great.
Wow. That's definitely the best smoked Denver I've ever had.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's phenomenal.
I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that I'm most excited about this one. Because the smell was wafting through here all day walking in, and I'm like, what is that? And so I'm around barbecue all the time, so I'm used to those smells. I don't do this very often, so it just was drawing me in. So I'm just going to grab a chunk.
That's that classic French
Go for it.
braise. You get that red wine, that tomato, that delicious beefiness.
This smell.
The Porter Road beef stock really sets it off. Oh, man.
That's great.
Just like ridiculously.
That's really good. Chuck roast that I've cooked in crock pots before, dreamed that they could be this. You know? All right, so we just spent some time eating through these, and it's kind of a split. Half of us liked the braised the best, and the other half liked the smoked the best. But I just was told by the folks here at Porter Road that they're going to give you guys a 15% discount, so I'll put a link for that in the description. So if you want to try these, you can cook them 5 different ways if you want to. You'll get 15% off, so go check that out. I was tremendously impressed with this. I'm most shocked at how well it held up to the low and slow heating methods, and you're not going to go wrong with any of them. What did you think?
I agree 100%. It's an incredibly versatile cut. It's amazingly delicious. It is a very underappreciated cut, and every single one of them is phenomenal, delicious, and you know, try it out and see what you guys think.
And I think most people out there probably didn't even know that this cut exists.
No.
So you're welcome. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video as we break down 3 different ways to cook James's favorite cut. I really enjoyed this process and really enjoyed the food. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon at Mad Scientist BBQ. I'll see you guys next time. Like The Price is Right? Featuring a removable cooking grate and the ability to cook with charcoal and wood, the brand new Nomad Grill.
What's the one with the actual briefcases?
Let's make a deal. No.
Deal or no deal.
Yes.
Is it deal or no deal?
No, no deal, yeah.
The ladies?
Mandel.
Yeah.
Jeremy, you saw Howie Mandel, remember?
Yeah.
Oh, Howie.
At a restaurant.
The Cheesecake Factory.
The Cheesecake Factory.
Indeed.